What's going on, everybody? This is PH Darren. Got no PhD, depends on who you ask. I got a PhD. I'm going to be talking about something that's sweeping the internet. Of course, I have a very small thing to say about this. It's about the shooting in Chesapeake, Virginia. I don't feel qualified to speak on it just because I have a home in Chesapeake. I live in Virginia Beach, and I have frequented that Walmart many times. It has nothing to do with that.
Nope.
I probably was never at the same Walmart that dude was at, and that's irrelevant. But it's the fact of what's coming from that. So there was recently a shooting in Colorado at an LGBTQ event, and now there was a shooting in where I live at, in the Hampton Roads area of Virginia. And then the president decides he wants to have Congress ban all semi-automatic assault type rifles, according to him, by the end of the year. And there's only about 5 weeks left. That isn't going to happen.
Nope.
But the fact that people are doing things willfully, creating crimes, doing crimes, whatever you want to call it, and then you want to go ahead and attack everybody else for it, is the problem. It is not the tool that was used.
Nope.
It was the person who was operating the tool. It's been said thousands of times to the point where we're blue in the face. It doesn't matter if you're a conservative, a gun rights advocate, whoever, Second Amendment supporter. You have said these stats. You have heard these stats. More people are killed with handguns than rifles. More people are killed by drunk drivers than with any type of firearm. You have a higher chance of drowning in your pool than being shot. And yes, while those are true, no one's advocating for stricter laws for all of those things. As a matter of fact, you can come across here and then just illegally enter the country and drive around and get drunk and kill somebody and still get off. What? Either way. Surprisingly, I looked something up on the internet, and CNN has something to say about this. So the authorities, that's the police department. Shout out to Chesapeake Police Department. They do a lot of great stuff. It says the gunman, finally, right? The gunman. They should put the murderer, the criminal, right? In this week's deadly Walmart shooting in Chesapeake, Virginia. Speaking of which, this isn't the first time Walmart's been shot up. I think there was one that happened in El Paso or somewhere in Texas a few years back. That dude was looking for soft targets, apparently. This was an actual store manager, so this could have happened no matter where this individual worked at. Now, I will say this, if he was disgruntled about his employees, that's a completely different thing. I will say that is probably one of the most hood Walmarts in Hampton Roads that I have visited, but neither here nor there. So the gunman purchased the handgun, specifically handgun, he used the morning of the attack and left a death note outlining grievances against people in his life. That man needed help right then and there. If you have grievances with somebody in your life, why do you need to write a death note and then decide this is what I'm about to do at work today? The note found on his phone talks about God, the Holy Spirit, and how the author felt his associates were mocking him. Walmart uses the term associates for some of its employees. So this note was found on this fool's phone, and he talks about God and the Holy Spirit. I believe in God and the Holy Spirit, but this right here is exactly why people look at Christianity and say it looks foolish, because you have somebody who will use a biblical approach to create harm like this and then say, this is why. Now, you can believe 1 + 1 is 2 and still do something retarded. That doesn't mean it's not true. However, for the person who's looking and seeing if Christianity has anything, this person believing in God and the Holy Spirit and then go out and commit such a heinous act pushes them away. And to be honest with you, they didn't want to show up anyway. They just want something to help push them further away. The associates gave me evil, twisted grins, mocked me, and celebrated my downfall the last day. That's why they suffer the same fate as me, the note says. So this whole misery loves company is exactly what that is. Nobody can just get tough skin. This dude's 31, apparently. 31-year-old, so like definitely a millennial. No, not all millennials are bad.
Nope.
But they were dealt a bad hand. Like, I'm one of the oldest millennials or the youngest Gen X, where I'm in a 3 to 4 year subgroup called Zennials. And I could care less which Gen X, Zennial, or straight millennial. But either way, millennials were dealt a bad hand. Like the ones after me. All right, I didn't have half the crap they did. I mean, I'm called that, but damn. These people, he's 31, so I'm 39. This dude was 8 years old when I joined the military. I'm sorry, he was 10. He was a little 10-year-old boy when I was in the service. And when I saw 10-year-olds back then, they wear their emotions on their shoulders, and anything and everything that touches it will affect it. This guy writes, I wish I could have saved everyone from myself. The note continues, my God, forgive me for what I'm going to do. It's definitely a cry for help. It says here, this guy had no criminal history. The 9mm weapon he used in the killings was legally purchased Tuesday. So he had just purchased the gun, got the gun, passed the background check, walked out with the gun, and then used it to do a crime. And that's where people are trying to say, this is exactly why we need to just get rid of all guns, because even if you aren't a criminal, you can become a criminal. Well, that goes for the same thing, right? You get shot by the employee. What about police officers who go nuts? Military people who go nuts with all the training that they have, which is honestly not a lot for some people. It's a completely different topic. A search of his home yielded a box of ammunition and various items in reference to the 9mm handgun. It says a box, a receipt, other paperwork, the city tweeted. You definitely don't want to check my damn house.
Nope.
If all you found was a box of ammo.
What?
And they decide that's newsworthy. Asked if the gunman had ever complained about his colleagues, Walmart said there is nothing that can justify taking innocent lives. I will agree to that. Our focus continues to be on the families who are grieving and support our associates through this difficult time. So I'm just curious, including in those families, is the shooter, who's also deceased, is his family, do they fall into this grieving and supporting associates and the families of those affected? He was definitely affected. So the question was, did he ever complain about anything? And Walmart is just saying, there's no reason to take innocent lives, which I agree with. But was he berated to the point where he had a breaking point and they just ignored it? I'm curious. Once again, I don't believe it justifies him going out there and getting his kill streaks up at all.
Nope.
But that's what I'm thinking about. So I'm not going to name the names. It probably doesn't matter to a lot of people, but the ages do matter. People killed: 70-year-old, a 43-year-old, a 22-year-old, a 38-year-old, a 52-year-old, and a 16-year-old that was recently identified or unidentified. That's wild. That is wild. What are your thoughts? Are you guys tired? I know you're tired of hearing about it. But do you think there can be something actually that can be done about these shootings? Every single time I've been in that Walmart, I have been concealed carrying. Anytime I go in any Walmart, I'm concealed carrying. And I'm wondering, were there any concealed carriers in that Walmart at that time? And if there were, what was their training level? And if you were in the military and you had it, your training level was wearing a uniform. You didn't have to do anything to prove that you were competent with a gun. Boot camp, apparently, is where your competency was, however long ago that could have been for you. And if you guys didn't know that, that's how Virginia does it. Or at least that's where Hampton Roads does it when it comes to getting a concealed carry weapon for service members. Just being in the military qualifies you to be a concealed carry holder. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, share. This is PH Daring, the guy with no PhD, but depends on who you ask. I got one, and I'm out. Peace.